Commission Board for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate that. Okay, as all of you know, I am Jimmy Thornton, and I'm the sheriff here of Sampson County. To my left is Ernie Lee, who is our district attorney for Sampson, Duplin, Onslow, and Jones County. To my right is Lieutenant Lawrence Dixon and Detective Travis Pope, both of which were instrumental in this investigation when it began. If you will, please hold all questions till we get through my presentation and Mr. Lee's presentation. It all began on the night of June 18, 2021. The family of Kiara Wiggins contacted the sheriff's office to report that Kiara, 39-year-old aged female, was missing from her residence located at 104 North Street, Apartment D, Roseburg. Deputies learned that Kiara was married to Carl Wiggins, and he too was unable to be located by family members. Deputies with my office immediately issued an order to all law enforcement to be on the lookout for both Kiara and Carl. On June 19, information was received by the sheriff's office that indicated Kiara's husband, Carl Wiggins, was operating a black 2003 Ford Excursion, which was reported stolen from Bladen County on June 17. On June 19, investigators processed the Wiggins residence in search of clues for Kiara Wiggins' disappearance. On June 20, Kiara's silver Oldsmobile Laro was located in the Ammon community of Bladen County by the Bladen County Sheriff's Department. The vehicle appeared to be abandoned. The vehicle was seized and processed for additional clues. On June 21, the Bladen County Sheriff's Office and the Sampson County investigators searched the area by air and foot, trying to locate additional information in this case, but their efforts were unsuccessful. On the same day, June 21, the Bladen County Sheriff's Office obtained a warrant for the arrest of Carl Wiggins for felonious larceny of the Ford Excursion. The Sampson County Sheriff's Office obtained a warrant for felonious possession of a stolen vehicle, that being the Ford Excursion. On June 23, the Four Oaks Police Department located Carl Wiggins driving the stolen Ford Excursion in Four Oaks. Four Oaks is located in Johnston County, and the officers attempted to stop the vehicle and a pursuit ensued. The pursuit traveled south on US 421 into Newton Grove in Sampson County, then on to NC 25 to NC 50 back into Johnston County. The suspect vehicle proceeded to I-40 and traveled westbound and ended on I-40 near exit 301 in Wake County, after the North Carolina State Highway Patrol successfully deployed stop sticks. Carl Wiggins fled on foot from the vehicle, but was taken into custody by officers from multiple agencies inside there of Wake County. Following Carl's arrest, investigators attempted to interview him about his wife's whereabouts, and he exercised his constitutional right not to make a statement. At that point, Mr. Wiggins was processed for outstanding warrants related to the stolen vehicle and the Ford Excursion, and was processed for additional evidence. Let me assure you, during the entire time of Kiara's disappearance, investigators were conducting multiple interviews and collecting additional evidence related to this case. I want to emphasize that this was a daily and continuous process that completely consumed investigators. This office placed considerable resources and time in this case to ensure that this case would be solved. This office wanted to ensure that all evidentiary leads were pursued. I want to also take the time to emphasize that my operation is not a large-scale one with unlimited resources. Since 2019, we've received 4 missing persons reports, which have turned out to be homicide investigations, all of which someone has been charged with murder. These types of cases are very exhausting on a limited staff, and these investigations don't end once a suspect is charged. Investigators continue to pursue leads and additional evidence in preparation for court. Though my staff is limited in size, they are determined and dedicated to their work and to the victims in each case's family. I simply could not ask for a better team. On August the 2nd, the Sampson County Sheriff's Office, along with the Sampson County Emergency Management employees, met and discussed locations of interest to search for Kiara Wiggins. At 2:30 p.m., a joint team of personnel from both agencies went to an area on Bridge Road near Peterson Road and began a search. 2 hours into the search, team members discovered an area in which dirt appeared to have been recently disturbed, possibly by digging. This area is a wooded area near the highway. The Sampson County Sheriff's Office cadaver K-9 was brought to the area and in question, and the K-9 gave a positive alert to the disturbed area. At this point, the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation was contacted and responded to assist in processing the scene. During this processing, a deceased female body was located buried. Investigators had strong suspicion that the body was that of Kiara Wiggins, but due to the condition, no positive identification could be made without the assistance of the state medical examiner. In days following, the state medical examiner's office did conclude that the deceased was in fact Kiara Wiggins. I know this is not the outcome the family nor we as law enforcement had hoped for, but my office, along with the district attorney's office, will continue to work together to bring Kiara's family in the closure and justice that it deserves. Now, at this time, I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Lee, who will probably walk through a few of the steps and everything, and the plans is what we, or your office plans to do.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Sheriff. As indicated earlier, my name is Ernie Lee. I am the district attorney for the 5th prosecutorial district, which includes Sampson, Onslow, Duplin, and Jones counties. I've been with the district attorney's office now for 34 years, 24 years as an assistant DA, over 10 years as the elected district attorney for these 4 counties. I was initially contacted about the Kiara Renee Wiggins investigation by the Sampson County Sheriff's Office in mid-June 2021. Beginning with June 23rd, 2021, and the apprehension of Carl Wiggins, I have had increased contact with Sheriff Jimmy Thornton and Sampson County Sheriff's Office. This investigation commenced approximately the same time as the Newton Grove officer-involved shooting that involved Chief Greg Warren that occurred on June the 15th, 2021. That investigation also involved the Sampson County Sheriff's Office, who devoted substantial resources to both the Kiara Wiggins investigation and the Newton Grove investigation at the same time. I mention that because having to work 2 major investigations that occurred so close together and to do those well demonstrates a strong work ethic of Sheriff Thornton and his detectives. Sheriff Thornton and Lieutenant Lawrence Dixon and other detectives have continued to keep Assistant District Attorney Arnitha Gillis and me updated about this investigation. On August the 9th, 2021, ADA Arnitha Gillis and I met with Sheriff Thornton in this very room and his investigators here at the Sampson County Sheriff's Office. We met over here for several hours that morning. We provided a thorough summary of the investigation and evidence. We conferred with the Sheriff's Office. After conferring with him and reviewing the evidence of this case and reviewing the law related to certain issues involving this case, I recommended to the Sheriff and his investigators that a warrant be obtained for an open count of murder against Carl Wiggins for the murder of his spouse, Kiara Renee Wiggins. Today, the defendant, Carl Wiggins, has been served with a warrant for an open count of murder. He had his first appearance this morning. I confirmed that before this press conference with one of my assistant district attorneys. He appeared before a district court judge here in Sampson County this morning. The defendant is being held under no bond, and the defendant has requested court-appointed counsel. Indigent Defense Services, or IDS, in Durham, North Carolina, will assign an attorney. Pursuant to North Carolina law, the defendant is presumed to be not guilty unless and until the state proves the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. By law, this office will receive all the reports of the Sampson County Sheriff's Office and law enforcement and then provide those reports and the investigation through discovery to defense counsel. The DA's office will also soon be in contact with the family of Kiara Wiggins and provide to them the victims' rights services they are entitled to by law and deserve during this difficult time. I have personally prosecuted in excess of 140 first-degree murder cases, and I've tried 8 capital cases. From my experience, all, I repeat, all murder cases require a substantial amount of investigation, and from what I have reviewed, the Sheriff's Office has put tremendous amount of effort into this investigation. I appreciate the investigation by Sheriff Thornton and his office. Now the job of the district attorney begins, and this office continues to work with the sheriff and prepare this case for court. Thank you.
Okay, now, if there's any questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ernie, so you're at the microphone there.
Yes, sir.
You say it's an open count of murder.
Yes, sir.
Described as opposed to first degree. What does that mean?
Okay, in North Carolina, our first degree murder, our murder warrants are actually inclusive of first and second degree. That's the way our system is. However, the next step after the first appearance, which was held this morning, is after we receive at least the majority of the reports, we'll be submitting this case to the grand jury, and I can tell you it would be for 1 count of first degree murder.
And is this enough evidence for capital to pursue the death penalty?
That I am not prepared to respond to just yet. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll be looking at the autopsy results. I'll be looking at some other information that's still, this case is still under investigation. I will make that determination at a later time.
Sheriff, question for you.
Okay.
This investigation involved a lot of man hours, as you mentioned. The media is giving a lot of information out. Is there going to be the payment of a $5,000 reward that you mentioned based on tips, or was this just your detectives?
It was my detectives.
Talk about
Totally.
that. Talk about the effort that's put in this.
Well, how about me letting him take?
That'd be great. Tell everyone your name so we make sure we have that correct spelling.
Lieutenant Lawrence Dixon. Pretty much in this case, we've worked it every single day since the report came out. There's been a lot of evidence that's collected, a lot of evidence has been reviewed, and we try to base our evidence. It'd be nice to have witnesses to come forward. In this one, it took a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck, and we're at where we're at today.
The investigation led you from this county to Bladen County and back. What was the turning point in terms of getting a break in this case?
Just man hours. We've just been looking at a lot of things and reviewing it, and like I said, we took a shot at our best effort, and it worked out.
And what led you to that patch of woods? Can you share that with us?
Like I said, without giving out what evidence we have right now, just reviewing evidence.
Can you go over a little bit more? Did you have an idea of how long she may have been there or anything like that?
I think it'll be what we put on the warrant. We're going with the 12th. As far as how long she's been in that area, probably a month or so, a month and a half.
And what led you to that?
Just off of the evidence. Like I said, without going into all the evidence, it'd be based off the evidence we've collected.
Right now, he's the only one charged. Did he have any help? Will there be any additional charges?
I do not foresee that coming.
Has he answered any questions or made any statements since his arrest?
He is not.
Well, what is his temperament? Is he showing any remorse or anything since he's been charged?
I have not seen him.
Has anybody seen him who could answer that?
We've heard from neighbors and family members that there are allegations of a history of domestic violence. Are you aware of this at all? Have you heard anything about that?
We're actually, like I said, it's a continuing investigation. Those are things that we're looking into and trying to gather information on.
How important was it to you all to be able to, I know it's not the answer anyone wanted, but to at least be able to bring this to the family that she has been found and now there are murder charges?
I mean, that's the key thing that we want to do is bring closure to the family. Of course, it's not the outcome we all wanted, but at least we were able to bring closure.
The only other thing I was gonna ask is we were alerted to this body being found by the family. Why did the sheriff's office decide to hold off on disclosing a body had been found, even though it was not confirmed to be hers? Why was that?
We were waiting on the medical examiner's office to give us a positive identification, which was started late in the evening to the next morning.
You met with the family though?
Yeah, we did actually meet the family to let them know our findings. We could not give them a positive identification, so we were waiting for that identification.
What helped lead to the identification? Dental records? Or
They would
tattoos?
use all kinds of tattoos, fingerprints, medical records. I don't know if there was one certain they used, but they used all of it.
Sheriff, you met with the family this morning,
Yes.
You were saying, you had a chance to talk with them and disclose what the charges are, what was their reaction?
Well, relief, at least they know, their suspicions turned out to be correct. But there was the fact that, we found her body, someone's been charged, is a burden, I'm sure, heavy burden been lifted off of their shoulders, big time. And I'll expound a little bit more on the $5,000 reward. We got 0 tips or anything. People gave us, suspicious activity with buzzards flying and that kind of stuff. But that was the extent. Or someone having smelled something, in a wooded area. And of course, we checked all that out. I think even on Peterson Road, Lieutenant Dixon, there was like maybe a dog buried, okay? And I think that was being checked out. We were there too, but it was an
But
animal.
despite the fact that you got no leads on this, you still rely very heavily on the public in any case like
Oh,
this.
totally. Our best asset's the community. And, they've been very helpful on a lot of things, be it right or wrong, whatever. The public do communicate, a lot with us. We're fortunate.
And then what's next for the suspect then, in terms of the court process?
Well, the next step will be, of course, making sure he gets appointed counsel. And after that, the next step after that will be, of course, our office will be receiving all the reports, law enforcement reports, autopsy reports, any other type of evidence. We're required by law to send that on discovery to the other side. We must give full and complete disclosure by law. And after that, well, during that process, probably we will submit this case to the Sampson County Grand Jury for an indictment. That's how you actually get the case into Superior Court. And just to follow up on your one question about capital or not, that's one of my jobs as district attorney to determine whether or not a case is either capital or non-capital. In the state of North Carolina, the only time you can seek the death penalty is first-degree murder. However, not every first-degree murder is a capital case, because in North Carolina, under 15A-2000, which sets out certain aggravating circumstances, there are 11 aggravating circumstances listed. The state is required by law to actually only consider one of those 11 or more of those 11. We cannot go outside those 11 aggravating circumstances. The vast majority of cases in the state of North Carolina, first-degree murders are non-capital. I told you, I've just worked on, I've handled over 140 murder cases, and of those, I've tried 8 of them as capital, but there were probably at least another half a dozen that were capital. So it's not a large percentage are in fact capital. I will be evaluating that really when I get the autopsy report. I'm gonna look over some of these witness statements more thoroughly as well.
Do you have to have all 11 aggravating, or you just had?
No, sir, you must, the state of North Carolina must only have evidence beyond a reasonable doubt of at least one aggravating circumstance, at least one. And of course, the defense can always submit mitigating circumstances. It is required in our system that the jury then weigh those and decide whether or not it's a death sentence or a life without parole. In North Carolina, first-degree murder does carry a mandatory life without parole if there's not a death sentence. But again, that's going to be for the future. I just want to follow up on that. That was an excellent question. That will be something I will be looking at. It's called a Rule 24 hearing, and we will be doing that in the future. Probably right after a grand jury, around the arraignment time, we'll also do what's called a Rule 24 hearing, where the state at that time will let the court know whether or not this is capital or non-capital. If any first-degree murder in the state of North Carolina is capital, then the defendant is entitled to 2 counsel. That is by law in the state. So if in fact it is declared capital, any first-degree murder is declared capital, there will be a second attorney appointed.
Ernie, lastly for me here, COVID has just backed things up tremendously. How long do you think it will be before this case goes to trial? Because the longer, I guess, it will be before a family has, I guess, real closure in this.
And that is one of the concerns I always have as district attorney, because real closure, well, I guess as close as you can get to real closure really occurs at trial. But even then, they live to live with this for the rest of their lives. I am concerned about that because we lost a year of jury trial time because of COVID. The entire state did, not just my district, the entire state. All district attorneys around the state are facing this, including me. You know, it's not unusual for a case to be pending 2 years or more now. And partly because we've got so many backed up in the system that also must be tried. I mean, this morning I was over in Onslow County Superior Court in another murder case, which is a capital case. And we spent almost 45 minutes arguing when that case will be tried. And so I had to deal with that around my district. And so we will put a lot of resources in this case. I've got a very good DA's office assigned, very good prosecutors assigned to the Sampson County DA's office. I'm on the phone a lot with them about murder cases. And we're certainly going to put a lot of substantial resources, just like the sheriff's office did the investigation, because we also owe them to do a good job for the good job they've done. But more importantly, we owe this victim's family and society and the citizens of this district that we do a good job.
Thank you.
Anything else? Let me, again, let me thank you all for coming and being a part of this, but let me mention some agencies that were certainly instrumental in helping us in this case. Certainly the SBI, the North Carolina Highway Patrol, Bladen County Sheriff's Office, Four Oaks Police Department, Sampson County Emergency Management Office, the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in Raleigh, our medical examiner here in Sampson County, Dr. Carl Bohr. Without question, each of these agencies were very vital to helping our agency during this investigation. And of course, the media will be updated via press release should other details surface. If y'all don't have any more questions, that's all I have.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.